1,000 words.
I work with Ms. Faisal, and we comprise a curriculum and a unit dealing with how art is a form of communication and how comic books can promote literacy. And then we've implemented that curriculum into our classrooms.
You have to stand up and take a stand. And I never thought I'd be a person that would go off and go, I'm going to make a stand on something. And I have to. There's been so many horrendous things that have happened to my son and our family because he has autism.
Some critics have said, oh, you guys got the devices. Well, isn't that just something to play with all day? No, it's not. It's in addition to the students learning. It's a learning tool that they have now access to really step them into a digital age and prepare our students to compete in a world market.
Step. It doesn't matter if you are the star of the show, or you're in our ensemble, or if you work in costumes or lighting. Everyone is equally important because this is a cooperative group effort.
Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Marie Bliston, the host of Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. We're just about midway through the school year, so it's a good time to consider what's been most important to the students and educators that we've met this year. Many of the stories that we've featured have focused on making a difference for young people by giving them a voice as well as tools that they can use to overcome challenges in their lives. And while it seems that each of us is hardwired with the survival instinct, it's still nice to have some comic relief.
This is a comic book that I created called Surviving the Storm. I wrote this during Hurricane Sandy. It was very traumatic during Hurricane Sandy. We lost power for 9 days, and we had to figure out things to do to keep us sane. I needed something as therapy so I can get through the trauma of not having power for 9 days and trying to keep my family calm as well. Every day I'd wake up about 5 o'clock in the morning as soon as the light would come out, and I would sit downstairs in the kitchen by myself and I would draw out the events that happened the day before.
We went downstairs to turn off the alarm and put as much food as we could in the freezer. I found a gas station that was open.
The children act out and read the story. And then we have a discussion about what obstacles have they faced in their life. How did they overcome those obstacles?
In second grade, I had trouble reading, and so I overcame it by, my mom made me read 20 minutes a day, and Miss Jameson, a school teacher that helps people, she helped me read, and now I'm in the honors.
And from that discussion, it leads into them writing a story with Ms. Faisal about their life and their obstacle. I'm now going to turn over this lesson to Ms. Faisal, your literacy teacher, who's going to talk to you about how you can develop your own story, which will eventually become a comic strip that we're going to work on soon. Are you guys excited to do a comic strip?
Yeah.
All right.
It was something he was inspired about during Hurricane Sandy. It was a real-life experience. He wrote it. He introduced it to me. Immediately, I wanted to tie it in with the genre of personal narratives for my students. Eventually, what we're going to do is hone in on the characteristics that he uses and use author's craft, right from Mr. Markman, to create our very own comic strips.
I think their partnership has worked really well. He basically asked her if she wanted to participate in this initiative because she is the language arts teacher, so I think it's worked extremely well.
Pictures speak 1,000 words. Exactly. Sometimes you don't even...
I work with Ms. Faisal, and we comprise a curriculum and a unit dealing with how art is a form of communication and how comic books can promote literacy. And then we've implemented that curriculum into our classrooms, and we've been co-teaching and developing this project, and it's been a wonderful experience for myself, for Ms. Faisal, and for the children, because it's allowed them to express ideas and communicate thoughts in ways that they might not do in a normal setting in an educational environment.
Think about as many ideas as you can, and from those ideas we're going to zoom in on one that's very important to you, that has affected you in a way that you would like to disclose your story and share it with the rest of the world to empower them.
My comic strip is about me being bullied in first grade. And it was just nerve-wracking because I couldn't tell anybody, because I believe that my comic, unlike any other, would inspire somebody to be bold and stand up for themselves. After I told my story, it actually made me feel better because I know it will set an example for another boy or girl out there.
she felt that it's important to educate other children about not being quiet, not feeling intimidated. There is help out there. You need to go seek or ask for help. And if you can't, then find it within yourself to finally speak up.
The second part was like me being sad that I had to leave my friends and family behind.
Sometimes kids need a voice, and a comic book can be a voice.
I would say an obstacle I faced was having a friend, like a sister to me, having leukemia cancer.
And we're starting to realize we can reach children in different ways.
There was one very emotional story that made me cry, actually, and it was about the student who shared the experience with his parents constantly fighting and how he dealt with the internal conflict, and he didn't want to go home. And then just revealing the other panel, I didn't really get it until I saw the next panel, which was just, just words coming out of the parents' mouths, and then just disaster around the scene. So just that part really touched me. It hurt me, and part of me wanted to cry right there, but part of me told me to stay strong for this child.
As a little boy, I was very sick. I had asthma and bronchitis. I didn't really talk that much. My mother was an artist, so she brought me art supplies, crayons and paint, and she exposed me to a world that opened me up. There are many children and people who are lost. They might have a handicap, they might be depressed, they might not be a literary person. Their intelligence isn't something that always shines in the classroom. So I think the lesson here is that we all have value. We all have intelligence. How do educators tap into that and bring it out? My mother brought it out in me through the arts. She took me out of my shell. She got me to realize that I did matter, I did have a voice. And that's what we're trying to do with these children. Let them understand that their voice is important, that they have abilities that may run dormant, but we're trying to help you tap into them and bring them out. I want them to be the future of the comic world, to be the future of the literacy world, to innovate and create and propel this world and make it better. And I'm gonna make sure they're doing their best to keep creating and being innovators for as long as I have them in my grasp. Then we'll see what happens, but the future looks good today.
The future does look good as educators like Mr. Markman continue to light the way with his message that we all have value. We discovered that very same message last April when we visited a community where the entire high school encourages understanding during Autism Awareness Month.
Imagine a world different than your own. Imagine
that you are limited in your abilities to communicate with others.
Imagine
that you may physically attack your family and teachers for reasons you cannot explain.
Imagine
that people may laugh at you because you act differently.
Kids are all different. We all have different talents, different strengths, also different weaknesses. And it's very easy to go through and just push people aside. But these are humans just like us, and we should try to understand and respect them, just like I would want to be respected.
Student peer leaders at Howell High School are spending a day speaking with their classmates to promote autism awareness and acceptance during National Autism Awareness Month.
It's very important, especially students in our school where we do have an autism program and we do interact with children with autism. It's important to know how to interact with them. So that's why we really put this together.
Howell is home to one of the largest high school autism spectrum disorder support programs in New Jersey.
We have a comprehensive program. We're a regional district, so all students who require a self-contained special education autism program come to Howell High School. We offer programming to meet their social skills, functional skills, and academic well-being. And we really try to make sure that students interact with our general education peers. That's a pivotal part of our program.
Do not stare or laugh at someone with autism just because they act differently, and do not put your arm around or hug someone with autism.
Instead, offer a high five, handshake, or fist bump.
We have a fair amount of interaction with those students on a daily basis. They walk the halls just like we do during our switch times. They sit at the lunch tables right next to us. They even participate in the same physical education classes that we do. So it's very important that we understand how to interact with them and understand how they're going to interact with us. It's a two-way street that I think a lot of students needed to get, and that information was provided to them today.
Along with information, the students present short films that have connections to the school, including interviews with siblings of autistic students and a discussion with teachers who work in the ASD program. Though perhaps the most personal connection comes from business teacher Tim Hogan, who shares his family story.
It is so isolating. You can't go out places. There's places you can't go. People treat you very, very poorly, and it's really, really frustrating.
Hogan became the driving force behind Howell's awareness program 6 years ago, following a challenging experience involving his son Sean, who is on the autism spectrum.
That night, I happened to be down on the boardwalk walking with my son, and some dogs were going by, and they started barking, and my son has issues with that, and he got visibly upset, and everyone stopped and stared, and just were like, you know, and he's just a little boy and people were saying, oh, it's okay, the dogs are okay. No, it's not okay. Like, you don't know what you're torturing this kid.
The experience was not an isolated one, and Hogan decided he needed to do something to educate people how to interact with autism. So he reached out to fellow teacher Mary Collins about recruiting the peer leader group she advises, known as the Anytowners, to help inform the entire Howell community about autism.
The Anytowners are 9 seniors who were picked by the principal and myself, and we saw that these were the students in the school who really stood out as far as their leadership skills and their ability to make an inclusive environment in Howell High School.
Teacher Jacqueline Kehoe, a Howell graduate, was a member of the Anytowners that year.
Mr. Hogan approached us and said, you know, my son has autism and it's something I really want to get awareness, I want it out there. And we said, if there's anything we can do, we would love to. And I think from there, it was really Mr. Hogan who took this and just ran with it. And I think it's an incredible message.
Hogan is deeply involved in the awareness efforts. During assemblies, he shares intimate details of his family's life through stories and a short film titled Autism Island.
To come up there and make a presentation, it's incredibly personal. But you know, sometimes in life, you have to stand up and take a stand. And I never thought I'd be a person that would go off and go, I'm going to make a stand on something. And I have to. There's been so many horrendous things that have happened to my son and our family because he has autism.
It was one of those horrendous things that sparked Howell's latest awareness initiative, asking students to take a pledge.
And we can start by pledging to not say the R word or retard.
The R word was something that we came about last year, and it was based on a story of I was in Belmar with my son, and a car came up behind us and started chanting, retard, retard, pointing in the back of my car, pointing at my son. And I was so low. I mean, it just took me to depths. I couldn't believe someone was doing this. And that's part of, if I can stop that from happening to someone else, I'm gonna do it.
That incident inspired the creation of a social media campaign and video that has drawn significant attention to the cause.
Last year we launched this campaign. We had 190,000 views on Facebook, all over the world. Australia, England, Ireland, most of the US states, all over Canada. So I do believe we're making a difference there.
Yes, making a difference through awareness and demonstrating what it means to be accepting and supportive of each other. Next, we bring you a story of positive changes, the result of teamwork and opening the door when opportunity knocks. Please watch.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, action.
I got a video.
This is North Main Street Elementary School. There are big changes happening here, changes that revolve around technology.
We had computers, but it was hit or miss. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't work.
Before the technology, they didn't have the capabilities of actually recording on their devices. But with this, they're learning how to videotape and also how to edit. And it just gives them more flexibility and more opportunity to demonstrate what they have learned.
Before, I would have had to have the kids scan the image. There's a step of 15 things the kids have to do to save, to upload a document. Now, I put it all in a digital library and the kids scan a code and they have access to every image. So something that would have taken us months, now we're able to do in a half hour, 40 minutes.
And the list goes on. So what exactly happened here? We'd like you to meet Renee Alford, the library specialist, and Teresa McGaney-Guy, the principal, to talk about what sparked these changes at North Main.
Spark's a good word because it happened very quickly.
It was delivered spring of 2014 in a FedEx box.
What was delivered in that box was a grant application.
It came in the mail and just was placed on the principal's shelf. You're so busy at the end of the year planning for next year, the opportunity to open it hadn't come yet.
But then someone called and asked,
"Will you be applying for the grant? The deadline's in 2 days."
It so happens that the grant was an opportunity from Apple as part of Connect Ed, a White House initiative designed to enrich K-12 education for every student in America by upgrading connectivity, training teachers, and encouraging private sector innovation.
In 2 days, the team and I put the grant together.
The actual grant writing was a blur. We each just took a section of it and put it out there.
It focused on our vision for our students and getting them to engage in the 21st century skills. For a couple of months, we stayed on pins and needles because the announcement wasn't made until October.
You probably know what happened next.
Pinch me, is this for real?
As we see today, it is very real. 114 schools across the country were selected by Apple to receive the grant, North Main among them.
That grant has meant so much to us. It's improving the infrastructure is the costly part in most schools.
Improving infrastructure here was vital. For one thing, most of the building is below street level, and the existing Wi-Fi system needed to be replaced and expanded.
Not just only we're underground, we have 2 classes that are not connected to the main building. Wires had to run out to that building to be connected, so that was timely and very expensive to get that done. Being underground, it takes a lot more work to get that connectivity and to maintain it.
The grant also enabled every student to have an iPad in the classroom.
These iPads are out on their desks every day for the entire day. We have used them fully in all areas of their learning. Something as simple as them writing in their daily journals, they're using that. For their science experiments, they're using them. For our daily 20-minute math lessons, they're using the devices. It's more of in addition to the learning instead of in place of. Some critics have said, oh, you guys got the devices. Well, isn't that just something to play with all day? No, it's not. It's in addition to the students learning. It's a learning tool that they have now access to really step them into the 21st century, into a digital age, and prepare our students to compete in a world market.
They enjoy this, every day they wait for it. They're like, oh, we have to get into our groups, They go in there, get their iPads, and they know what to do. Roll up and read that first paragraph for us.
Because of the wonderful things he does, we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Over the last couple of months, we've been working on a production of The Wizard of Oz, and today we're reaching our culmination of the project. So the students are making trailers to advertise our upcoming play, which is happening next week.
Things that you can do in the future.
We're using the green screen effect. Usually when I ask them to practice or do something over, they reluctant to do it. But when they know they're going to be videotaped, they practice, they study, they prepare themselves, and also they self-correct.
If I ask you to bring up your notes from your math lesson, are you able to do that? Okay, wow. And that's your writing on there, isn't there? Very good. How about somebody else?
Well, I've been actually working on how Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi are different and alike. They both have similar goals in life.
So you have all that information on your iPad now?
Yes.
Outstanding. How about somebody else?
We're doing a project on Ellis Island because we're going there next Thursday. And we picked different places. My group picked Ireland.
How about you?
I've been working on my science fair project with my science fair group. My experience is called Keeping Candy Cool with the Power of Evaporation.
Excellent. And how about you?
What I've been working on is a green screen effect, and we did a movie. We went to the Rise Up in March at South Main, and we worked on a movie.
North Main Street School, 4th grade classes were invited to participate in the Rise Up March at South Main.
One of the responsibilities that comes with this opportunity is making sure we keep moving forward with the technology we have.
We need a good rehearsal, and you guys are the ones that's going to give it to us. If they all see you doing the right thing, they do the right thing. But you got to give me everything you have. Yep?
Yeah.
Be in your places.
Let's do it.
This year's production is Disney's The Lion King Jr. All right, give me quiet. Focus in. There's challenges and there's benefits. There's benefits in that the audience is educated when they come in. They know the story. They know who the characters are. If you're doing this and your hands are just flopping around, it's not strong. This is strong, this is not. So if you're going to try something new, which is exactly what we're doing with this production, you have to reset their expectations and then exceed what you've set up for yourself. Everything you'll see was built, sewn, painted, whatever it needed, by community members and children.
You know, in times like this, my buddy Timon here says you gotta put your behind in your past.
I am Pumbaa. He's basically a happy, joyful, kind-hearted warthog. A tech rehearsal is basically where we have all the stage and all of like the props and everything. We basically stage the show.
In the blackout when Mufasa dies, I need London and I need Jacob to exit.
One of the great things about these productions is that it involves so many people from both within our school and outside, and it really brings the community together to accomplish this amazing production.
I operate the light board to control the lights during the show.
We'll kill it.
So, like, let's say we need a spotlight for a certain character or actor, I spotlight them.
Right to the rock. That's your light. You see your light?
Ed Pierce is a parent here at the school. He's got 3 children. Ed is a Broadway designer.
I'm gonna give him a little extra too.
He has taught Sebastian all about lighting.
It's been a joy working with Sebastian and seeing him grow over the last couple of years. The first year he came to work with us on the show, he sat down at the light board as the assistant to a parent. And ever since then, he's just come to all the load-ins, learn how to install the lighting equipment, and now is even training other students on how to use the lighting.
Sebastian now actually lights all of our school pep rallies, events like that, and he designs now.
But how to make her see?
I'm adult Simba. I fight Scar at the end.
Get her! Let her out!
I love to sing and act, so I feel happy when I do it. And I like to even share it with my school, so it makes me happy.
He was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome 5 years ago. With that comes some anxiety and OCD, and you would not know that when he's on stage. He's a different person up there.
Step.
My character is Rafiki, and he is like the wise character that is helping Simba and guiding everyone throughout their journeys. To have a great show in the end, you just have to think of every rehearsal as you're doing it in a show, so that you put your best foot forward and you're always working hard. The messages to the Lion King, I believe, is that never lose yourself in your journey of life and always be true to who you are and keep your family close. Don't feel hate, don't feel evilness inside your heart.
When you do that, give her a little room. When you stand and take a step back. So we increase the circle. There are 38 cast members, but we have just as many students working backstage, and double that amount have worked in our pre-builds and our load-in leading up to this production. It doesn't matter if you are the star of the show, or you're in our ensemble, or if you work in costumes or lighting. Everyone is equally important because this is a cooperative group effort.
There are so many benefits from this program. The social skills is because they get to interact with different grade level, different age groups, and so that way they feel like they can kind of interact with any grade in the school. And you know, you see their relationship in the hallways, and as they grow and they graduate from here, it's something that they get to experience that many schools they won't have that opportunity.
One of the things that I've seen change in Henry is that when the show's going on, he cannot wait to come to school. He's excited about being part of a community and really being part of the cast. It's a nice sort of way for the kids to mix.
Honestly, the show has never been the goal. The people that were here with me till 2:30, 2 o'clock in the morning last night were volunteers who had worked all day and then came to make this school and give this opportunity to these kids. They're just here to build the community. That's what it's about for us.
Set, cross, step down.
Another great example of how children shine when they're given the chance and what it means for them to share their experiences with the community. By providing opportunities like this, children are motivated to practice communication and social skills. They are finding their way in the world, learning the importance of self-expression, acceptance, and how to use the tools that will expand their opportunities. If you'd like to learn more of the great things happening in New Jersey's public schools, please check out our website and follow us on Facebook, where there's lots more to see. We'll be back next week right here, so please stay tuned. For Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Marie Bliston. See you soon.